morning, everybody, and welcome back to Adventures with P. I'm P, and I have listened. You all so much loved my video on chicken of the woods and requested more. Well, it's springtime, and we are out for a spring forage. And the star of today's show is going to be the pheasant back. This is Polyporus squamossus, also known as Dryard's saddle. We're going to talk about how to identify these, but more importantly, how to harvest them and how to cook them. So stay tuned. This is going to be a lot of fun. So early spring, right about April, maybe early May, people go out and they enter into the woods in search of the elusive morel. Unfortunately, they don't know this, but a lot of them step over and just bypass another tasty mushroom. This is a pheasant back. It is a choice edible. It's a polypore, and more important than that, there are no lookalikes that are toxic. So if you're new to foraging and just getting into mushrooming, this is a safe bet, just like chicken of the woods. You can tell that this is a pheasant back because it derives its name from a feathered pattern that kind of looks like the back of a pheasant. If you turn it over, you'll see, just like chicken of the woods, it's got thousands of little tiny pores. There are no gills. And it's also comes out of a hard wood from a short, really thick stem. These features are how you can identify this mushroom as a pheasant back. The pheasant back is also a bracket fungus, which means that it either grows by itself as a solitary type of mushroom or in small little communities, maybe up to 20 at the most. And this is a perfect example of that because we have 3 mushrooms that were growing here and a solitary one here. They are found in dead and dying hardwoods. They really love elm. Just like if you're out hunting for morels, it's the same type of conditions that you're going to find your pheasant back. If you're out hunting for them in the springtime, the bottom of like creek areas, low slopes, those type of things, places where you get equal amounts of sunshine and shade in the daylight are going to be great places to go ahead and find these. We've been out hunting for about 20 minutes and we've already come up with 2 bags that are about this full already. And we're going to use these in a lot of different recipes and we're going to give them out to friends. So let's talk really quick about if you're looking for mushrooms to collect for eating, what are some things you want to look for? Well, for starters, just like chicken of the woods, these get pretty hard. The bigger they are, the more solidified the chitin gets, the harder it is to cook. And it doesn't mean that you can't still digest it, just means you got to be a little bit more creative in processing it. Ideally, you want a pheasant back that's going to be the size of your palm. That gives the best tenderness for the mushroom. Anything bigger than that, you can kind of cut out, you can dry, you can grind it up into a powder and use it in like a soup base. A tasty one would be Japanese raw mint. That would be a great one to use in that soup base. You can tell that they're perfect if you wind up just taking it and tearing it. And if you tear it and it's a clean tear all the way through, that's perfect. Where it stops tearing, so right here, it really stops right here, it gets harder. At that point, this would all be perfect to eat. And all this other stuff here on the outsides, that's going to be a little bit too hard and too tough for you to eat. That's the stuff that you're going to want to dry and grind into a powder and use it for soup bases and stocks a little later. With that being said, let's start harvesting. One of the things that came up from the last video was the topic of conservancy. And I didn't really hit on that the last video, and I feel that I should do that here. If you want to continue making sure you can come back and harvest your mushrooms, leave a little bit behind. Make sure that what you leave behind has the opportunity to open up into pores and make sure that they can kind of reseed and repopulate for next spring. I'm going to do that here. I'm going to leave this little group right there, and I'm going to collect this group here. So we're going to kind of alternate maybe every other one, so that way it gets a chance to really make sure that it provides for more mushrooms, next season. Another thing that you may want to consider if you're actually going out and collecting mushrooms is the type of container you're using to stick your mushrooms in. Here we have a mesh bag, which is also going to help release any of the pores that this mushroom has as we're walking around, to kind of help it spread throughout the forest and make sure that it's there as a resource next spring as well. I'm going to leave these baby ones here, and I'm going to collect up these ones. Oh, these are perfect. Get one more over here and leave the rest alone. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. That is going to be so good. And if I ever get out of here, I get to enjoy it. All right, let me show you who your biggest competitor is. If you want to get yourself a bunch of pheasant backs, you need to make sure you do it before this guy down here does. These little things are your common slugs. They are incredibly hungry, and they are always hunting for the same mushrooms you are. Now, they don't sleep. They're always on the hunt. They are slow, so hopefully we can get to them before they do. But let's take a look at this tree and follow this dead elm all the way down. And right where those slugs are at, we have a lot more pheasant backs. So hopefully we got to him before any other slugs did. Not only did I find some more, I don't know if you can see this, but I found a lot of mosquitoes. Pro tip, wear a bug net out here. Occupational hazard. A great place to forage, I tell you. I've found stinging nettles, we have skunk cabbage, there's curly dock. I mean, you name it, some of the easier stuff, dandelions, but it is all here. Golden oyster mushrooms, of course, they're a little past their season right now in this area. Hoping if I keep walking around I find another microclimate that it was going to be perfect. I would love to stumble up on some just tasty golden oyster mushrooms. Back to hunting. Good news is, once you find an established area, they're pretty well established, and it's just about collecting them at that point. It's the finding them that's the hard point. Found something.
One of the things that I like to do to find them is to walk along the edge of a trail or a road until I find a spot that looks promising. After I find it, I'll begin to push into the forest to see if I can find any. Joining joining me on today's forage is my beautiful wife, Missy.
All right, Missy said she found one. 2 big ones, she says. Let's go see if there's more than just 2. Let's see if we stumbled on a patch. Holy hell. That's a big one. Yeah, that's big, all right. There are? Well, let's get some. What do you think of just one?
Whichever one looks better. Probably the one on the left here.
This one right here?
Yeah.
Here's one right here. That's a nice one. That's perfect. And what were these things called again?
Can't remember.
This is a Virginia waterleaf, another easily identifiable edible spring plant that every forager should know.
That looks kind of yummy.
That one was starting to be enjoyed already. We'll let them finish enjoying that.
What you may not know is we originally came out today in hopes of finding some morels. I personally don't think that these mushrooms are as tasty as the morels, but they sure as hell are not as elusive either. And they definitely don't get the credit that they deserve either. So rather than going home empty-handed, we kept an open mind and had quite the haul to say for it at the end. So the next time you find yourself in the woods looking for morels, rather than stepping over these babies, try stopping and collecting one. I promise you, you won't regret it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all the support that you give me for this channel, so please consider giving me a thumbs up, or better yet, leaving me a comment. You know I enjoyed reading what you have to say about these videos. Till then, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next adventure.